Hey Isabella.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
I had a few things come up at home that I was wanting to talk to you about, but
Okay. Yeah. We'll definitely get to those. If you don't mind, I have a couple of things from our intake session that I wasn't able to get to. So I thought we could just finish up with those and then we can jump in to that stuff that happened. Um, so um, one of the questions that I wanted to talk to you about is just what do you feel like some of your strengths are?
can you kind of define?
Yeah. I'll give you some examples maybe, and that might help. But um, kindness or hardworking or analytical or creative or maybe some experiences you've had in the past that um, make you a stronger or more effective person in certain situations, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. I'm pretty resilient.
Okay.
I mean, I've been in my situation since I was young, so I know how to handle it. I'm pretty strong-willed and outspoken, and hardworking. I'd say those are most important ones.
Okay, so resilient, outspoken, hardworking. There was one other one that I missed.
Strong-willed.
Strong-willed. Okay. And that kind of goes with the outspoken, right? Okay. Um, cool. Those sound like some good strengths to have for sure. And then, what are some of your goals for counseling? What do you want to get out of this?
I was thinking about that. I think I just want to know how to handle my situation better. Like I don't necessarily I want my roommates to change, but I know that'll never happen. I can't control that. So instead, I'd like to find a better way to cope with what's happening. Not necessarily push things away, not deal with them, but just make myself understand that everything does not have to be just clean at all times.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds like you have kind of a recognition that some things just aren't going to change in the short term. And so, since you can't change them, you want to learn just how to better live with some of those things.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at least in the time that I'm with them, I know later on, in the next year or so, I won't be living with them. So my situation will get better, but I do want to learn how to stop the just obsessive kind of things.
Okay. You want to feel differently about it than you do right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about, is there any part of you that wants to talk through how to decide who to live with and where to live and what things might be important for you in your next living situation?
I feel like that is a strong topic, but not in that situation. I mean, I could just put out an ad saying you must be clean to live with me. So it is a topic that's important, but I don't know if I really need to dive deeper into it.
Not something you need to pay me to talk to me about.
I don't think so.
Yeah, that's fair. I just wanted to make sure we covered all of our bases.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So that finishes up everything I wanted to make sure we talked about with regard to the intake. So you said some things happened over the last week. What came up for you?
So I had gotten home one night and I saw that my roommates and a couple of their friends were having a movie night sort of thing. So I just excused myself. I went upstairs and was whatever. And then in the morning I went downstairs and just the living room was a disaster. Like there was like popcorn and trash all over the floor, and like just the furniture was all over the place. Like they just like tore it up, and I asked my roommate to like kind of clean it up because it's disgusting, and she really went off at me. Like she really just like was screaming at me, and like she just said how like like over me she was, and I don't know, it just made me feel really bad.
Yeah, that would make me feel really bad too. I feel bad just kind of listening. That sounds like a really tough experience to have. So let's dig into that experience a little bit more. So you come downstairs and you see that everything is a mess. What's your first reaction? What are your thoughts or your feelings?
So like I saw the mess and I just kind of like was staring at it. I kind of like sighed, and I was like, I don't know, just it was a lot of feelings all at once, just like rushing over me. Like this isn't my problem, but it's gonna be my problem, and I kind of just wanted it to like cease. Like I didn't want to feel the way I was feeling, so I was like, I'm gonna talk to my roommate and be like really strong about it. I'm gonna like tell her how I really feel, and maybe something will happen that's positive.
Okay.
And so later that day, like a couple hours later, she came home and I told her, and that's when she went off. And
Yeah. You said there were a lot of feelings when you saw that, and you wanted them to end. What were some of those emotions that came up for you?
just kind of like helplessness, like there was like zero way I could change my situation, and it made me feel really like just like bad and just like kind of empty and just like hopeless. Like it's so weird to say those like strong words about such a simple situation, but
like resigned almost to
like I just wanted to remove
this is what it is. Yeah. What's it feel like now to talk about that and to use those strong words?
It's like really it makes me feel good to like clarify my feelings. Like it makes me feel like good to tell you about them.
Okay.
And like really just talk out what I'm feeling, because in that moment it was just like, I don't know, a pit had opened in my stomach, and that was it. Like I didn't know how to describe it, but like now being able to like have someone ask me the question like, what did that feel like? That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. I'm glad that that's a good thing to talk through. That. So you went from hopeless to, it sounds like, motivated and kind of like solution focused. Before you talked to your roommate, or leading up to talking to your roommate, what was that transition like? What emotions went away, and what came up in the lead up to you deciding? You said, I'm gonna be strong. I'm gonna talk to my roommate about this.
Like I just felt like I'd been in that situation one too many times. Like I'd walked down the stairs and seen this mess before, or walked to the fridge and seen another mess like multiple times. Like there's just certain things that just kept happening, and I didn't want them to happen anymore. Like that's in that moment I was like, no.
Okay.
But then when she like yelled at me, like it kind of just squashed all my feelings.
What did you say to her? How did you approach her?
Basically I was like, this has gone on for too long. Like this room's so messy, and you didn't even take the time to clean it. And she said that she was gonna get to it, and like then I told her that she like never gets to it, and like she just went off at me, like saying how I'm just like too obsessed about these things.
Okay. What did it feel like to hear her say that to you?
I don't know. Like I felt like, the motivation that I had was just kind of like poof, like gone. And it made me feel kind of bummed out, because like I'm a nice person usually, and hearing people say that to me is kind of like a bummer, you know?
Yeah. Was there a part of you that wondered if she was right or agreed with her?
Mm.
There was.
Like, I don't know. In the moment, it just like, if she had said it differently, maybe I would have considered her point of view a little bit more, but in that moment, I was like, no.
Okay. So the like crushing feeling was more just a result of her just being a mean person to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What did it feel like to kind of stand up to her and be honest about your thoughts about the situation?
I definitely think that it was needed, at least for me. Like, I don't know. It just made me feel like I actually had some power over the situation.
Mm,
That wasn't just me cleaning the dishes out of the sink or me like cleaning up the living room. Like it wasn't that kind of control, it was like a different kind of control. Sorry if that's confusing.
no, it makes sense to me. You were responding differently to the situation than you had in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I think you should be proud of yourself for doing that.
Yeah.
Some of the things that you've done in the past maybe haven't quote unquote worked for you or whatever. And so you were trying out something different. And yeah, like I said, I think you should be proud of yourself for doing that. With the way that she reacted, if you could go back to that moment again, would you do it the same way? Would you say the same things?
Um, I feel like I would. At least like the first time I spoke in that conversation, like I think I would say the same things. And then with her coming back at me, I wish I would have responded to it rather than just kind of walking away. But then again, I don't know what I would have said. I just felt like it was like left open and like she had won, kind of.
So there's kind of a battle.
Yeah, I'd say
Okay.
so.
Okay. I think it's important to recognize that one, it's really hard to know how to respond in the moment when there are a lot of emotions going on. And despite feeling kind of bad in the moment when she did say those things and feeling like you had lost, so to speak, looking back at it, you still feel like you did the right thing. And I think that's important. That's an important conclusion to arrive at. And you're not, it feels like you're not letting the way you felt when she said those things to you, like continue on and just stay with you. Like you're kind of looking at it critically and saying like, no, like I did the right thing. Like I felt like shit after she said that to me, but I still wouldn't do it any differently. So yeah. So we kind of characterize the relationship between you and your roommate as a battle. What are some other ways that it's shown up as a battle? I mean, is it always with regard to the cleanliness? Are there other things that come up that you feel like you have to fight with or win?
So just to clarify, the one that yelled at me, her name is Kelly.
Okay.
And the other one is named Jane.
Kelly and Jane. Okay.
So like I don't know if I told you this, but we used to like live in the dorms together. And so like I've known her for a while. Um so like I wouldn't say there was much of a like battle like between us, like conflict between us before this situation because we were like friends before. We were pretty close and that's the reason why we wanted to live together. Like maybe here and there like she just kind of like said something that kind of like ticked me off, but it was just I didn't address it. It was just there. Like nothing this serious though.
Okay. So it sounds like it's just kind of the environment that you guys are in, the fact that you're living together and sharing space.
Yeah.
That seems to have led to some of this, and seems to have led to kind of the power struggle. Okay. I think you had mentioned that a couple different things happened. Was there anything else that happened that is important to talk about today, like in the last week since our last session?
So there was that. And then it's not as big of a deal as that, but like my mom did call me.
Okay.
Like, we had a small conversation.
About what?
Basically just like how are you doing? What's been different with you? And then eventually, she told me something about like this like cool collection of like license plates she had started and like I was just like, okay, bye mom. Just one more thing that she's like proud of and I think is just like gross. Like
Yeah.
yeah, it's not as big of a deal, but
Yeah.
it's definitely there.
Yeah.
That did happen.
So you're smiling.
Yeah.
About that, but at the same time, it feels like there's some other emotions going on there. What were you feeling when she said that?
I'm really happy. It was just kind of like, you know, same old mom. Like, she thinks the stuff is just so ridiculously cool, and I'm like, no, no, it's really not. So I guess it's kind of just like irony. Maybe not irony. I don't know if that's the right word, but like, she just like has this one mindset that's on the completely opposite spectrum of where my mindset is, and like, I mean, I've gotten used to it by now. Like, I know my mom and I know her tendencies, and so yeah, that's why I'm smiling.
Yeah. What was it like growing up in that environment with her? I know you had mentioned that she started these hoarding tendencies when you were about 12.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like before then? What was it like after that started for you?
Mm-hmm. Like I can't really remember much before it started. Like, I mean, I was a kid. I mean, we were pretty like lower class. Like we didn't have much money, so like we had a nice home life. Like my brother and sister and I. There was nothing ever wrong. My dad was working for a while, at like this like oil company, and so like things were stable before the hoarding started, and like I liked that. I liked being stable. And then when I was probably 12, I think that was the time my mom started just accumulating these like collections of things. And like it was really like kind of I was really shaken up because this is not what I'd known, you know? Like I had always like things had always been the same. Like it was always like dinner every night as a family, then we'd watch some TV and go to bed. And like that was like every day. And then all of a sudden things started changing and I don't really like that. And then around 14 is when my dad just kind of gave up. And like just started like lose his jobs and like just hang around the house. And so like that was another big change. and so I just needed some sort of stability, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how it was with my brother and sister though. I never really asked them. It was just like a lot of conflict in my head.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of like, I wish this could be different. I wish I could
Mm-hmm.
change this or change my situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
So stability is a word that keeps coming up.
Mm-hmm.
What did stability feel like for you?
I think that kind of comes full circle with like the cleaning thing. Like that was my stability.
Having a clean and controlled environment felt stable for you.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like a routine to eat dinner, watch the TV, go to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds like a pretty good childhood environment or experience.
Yeah, I didn't have any complaints.
Yeah. So then, what did instability feel like, and how would you describe some of the instability that existed in your home?
So like my dad, definitely. Like him, I just never really knew what was up with him.
Okay.
And then like the instability definitely started when we didn't have dinner, like made for us every night, when we didn't watch TV afterwards. Like, you know. And then like there were other things here and there that started to change, but they definitely weren't that big. I just like I noticed the things that I was used to and enjoyed and like really liked to have as kind of an anchor, you know, to like, I don't know, the good life.
Yeah, that feels like it would be a really hard thing to experience at any point in somebody's life, much less as a 12-year-old, right? When maybe you don't have as like broad of a perspective, and it can be really confusing to know like why are things changing all of a sudden. Besides, maybe in addition to feeling unstable, like I'm feeling some emotions, like putting myself in that situation, maybe like some fear, like I mentioned, confusion. What were some of the emotions that came up for you as those things began to change?
I felt like unsure a lot. I felt like I was unable to really control my situation, so that caused like a lot of anxiety and like just fear. I think you mentioned earlier. Like that was definitely one. It's like a lot of things were out of my control and like made me kind of sad.
Yeah. How do you feel right now talking about that?
Like good, but to let it all out. But it kind of does bring back the like little bit of pain that I felt back then.
Yeah, I'm sensing a little bit of sadness.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's my train of thought? So when this started to happen, how did your relationship with your parents change? So like things changed in the routine and the physical environment, some of the things that weren't present anymore. What about your relationships with your parents?
Like they were good before. They weren't like great, but they were good. Like we all really like loved each other and cared about each other, which I think we still do, but it's just not as strong. But like that transition from stability to like these new things that were happening is like I kind of just didn't want to be around my mom because she was always surrounded by junk. And my dad, like I tried to hang out with him a few times. Like I tried to just like watch TV with him when he was home, and like he wouldn't really interact with me.
Mm,
Like he would, but I don't know. It just felt like he was being forced to.
mm,
Like I don't know. So I just kind of lost touch with them.
yeah.
Um,
Did you feel like you weren't a priority for them?
yeah, yeah. Like I mean, they still like loved all of us.
Yeah.
I'm just like definitely sure of that. But
Sounds like maybe just some things were getting in the way that were in the way beforehand.
yeah, that's a good way to describe it.
Okay. Did you have friends over a lot to the house or?
No,
No?
no. We always hung out at like somebody else's house.
Okay.
I was like really kind of embarrassed by the situation.
Okay. After it started, what about beforehand?
I think there were a couple of times, like some girls from school came over. A few birthday parties, like, but nothing like,
Not all the time.
not all the
just
time.
occasionally. But you weren't necessarily embarrassed to have people over
Not
at
back
that
then.
point. Yeah. I'm kind of picturing in my mind before you were 12, home was like this like safe kind of like base, right? It was a place of comfort and familiarity and stability. And it feels like you lost that after you were 12.
Yeah.
Okay.
Disregard my
Nice. So did you replace that with anything else? Was there any place that you felt like was stable and was kind of like this solid foundation for you, or did that aspect of your life just disappear after you were 12?
I like really liked being at school.
Okay.
Like that was always stable. We always had like part of the day that was like designated for like reading, and then part of the day that was designated for like math.
Okay.
So I like knew what was gonna happen.
Yeah.
Like so that made me feel good. But then when I got home, I was like, oh, this again.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
School.
So the routine of school made it a stable like base for you. Okay. What about now? Is school the same for you? Okay.
I guess that like transition, like it was definitely something that I kept with me, like from elementary to middle school to high school. Like I threw myself into school, and then being in college now, it's definitely the same thing.
Okay. Does that feel right for you? Do you want school to kind of be like your center, your home base?
I wish it wasn't. Like I wish that I didn't find joy in doing my homework a week early, but that's just kind of the way it is.
Is that one of the primary sources of joy that you have? Like it's okay. A lot of people feel happy about getting their homework done early, right? But it feels like that's like one of your primary motivators, or one of the like primary sources of joy for you. Is that fair?
I would say yes. Like there's a lot of times where I'm like, this is like not fun anymore. Like I wish I had something else to do. And I do have friends in my classes. Like they're really like cool. I like to hang out with them a lot, but it kind of just like, we don't really see each other outside class that much. It's just kind of in class.
Okay.
So they're, I guess, another source of joy, but it's like when I'm at school, that's it.
Yeah. Have you thought about this before? How school is kind of like central for you?
Kind of.
A little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah. What's it feel like to identify that right now?
Like definitely it's eye-opening to see how I did it as a child to like, get away from my home life, and then now oh gosh, it scares me. That was like super